G'day and welcome to Foord Offroad. Today I'm going to show you how to put front struts in your Toyota Hilux. So first step in replacing struts is to jack the front end of the car up, take the wheels off and make sure you use jack stands, don't just leave the car on the jack. So you can see why I'm replacing the struts. They're just leaking like crazy and they're bouncy as hell. So first step is remove the split pins from the upper ball joint and the tie rod end. Undo those two 19mm bolts. Undo this 12mm and one behind it that holds the ABS line. And there's two 10mm. Sorry about the camera work. Two 10mm on the ABS line. We just want to get that out of the way so we don't pull on it. We're also going to undo this link pin bolt, which you might need to get a ratchet spanner with an Allen key in the end because that sometimes they turn while you're doing that. So let's do that. These top ball joints, if they haven't been replaced before, they have a reusable split pin. Other than that, you've got to replace all the other split pins. You should replace a split pin every time you remove it, but those are the Toyota ones. 19mm. Crack them. And that was going in the wrong direction. Just leave this one on there, about that much. Undo that one all the way. Now I see so many posts on Facebook about how do I get that off and how do I get that off. The answer is you get a hammer and you just hit it. That, like, so many, you need ball joint removers, you need all this stuff, everything you see on Facebook. Just get a hammer, hit it lower, hit it on the knuckle there. At flat surface, just give that a couple of good taps and it'll come off. Easy as that. So this one first. Look at that, 3 hits and out. 1 hit for the top one. Come around the other side, undo the two 12mm and that little black plastic clip. Pull that line up out of the way. You probably don't need to undo this, but I always do anyway, because you don't want to pull on that and break it and then you have to explain to the customer why their ABS light's on. So see, that's what I was talking about there. See, you turn it and it's just moving the whole thing. This is another question I see on Facebook a lot. That is an Allen key hole in the middle for a reason. Stick the Allen key in there. If you're doing it with a rattle gun, sometimes it just comes straight off, but 90% of the time doing it by hand, you're going to need to use an Allen key. Easy as that. In between the spring and the upper control arm, lever it down. The reason you don't undo that all the way off at the start is so when you hit that, it doesn't just spring down. So don't need much force, just lever it down, and that makes sure your lever's not going to slip. Let it back up, and now this is loose. Pull our lever out. There's 3 14mm bolts on the strut top. Gonna undo all of those, leave one of them, just a thread or two on there. Easiest way. And this one, just leaving on there a few threads. So next thing to undo is this lower bolt that holds the strut in. It's a 19mm and it'll be tight. you can go ahead and pull that one the whole way out. Take that last bolt, the last nut off the strut top, and that strut is now ready to come out. We just need to go to the other side and pull it apart to the same stage, because you won't get the strut out past the sway bar. On this side of the car, before I lever down and take that nut off, I'm also going to undo these two down here because I'm changing the CV joint in this side. So the other side pulled apart to the same point. Well, you don't really need to pull it apart to the same point, just make sure you undo this. We can turn it in such a way that that'll go past the CV boot. So that's now down out of the way. Take that top nut off, which I already did. Now we can get the strut out. Okay, so now that all that's out of the way and that's down there, just a lever underneath the strut, slide it over and slip it out. That's the old one. Over here, that's the old one. It's all covered in oil and leaking, and this is a brand new, just changeover replacement. Normally when you change the struts, you need to take it to a mechanical shop and get them to compress the spring, put the new strut in, and you reuse the old spring. This is a brand new spring and a brand new strut. So we're going in a car with 400,000 Ks, that spring's been in there a while, so this will hopefully reset the height a little bit, make it a little bit taller in the front, and won't sag down so much. So let's chuck that in this side, and then we'll go around and do the same thing in the other side. Okay, so we put our new strut in, the same way the old strut came out. Holes up in there. I just put one nut on top so that it doesn't come back down. Just holds it up. You don't have to support the weight that way, you can just maneuver it to where you need it. Give it a shove. To line the bottom hole up, it's a bit out and I can't really push it in much further. You might need to get a screwdriver. Get a screwdriver in the back side, because in the front's where you got to put the bolt. Poke it in there. Just lever it around. Preferably not your best screwdriver, because you do wreck them. The end of that one's missing. Give it some time. Now do it back up, put everything back together, and we're done for this side. Before you do it back up, don't forget to put the other strut in and put the link pin above the CV joint first, otherwise you won't get that back in without removing the whole sway bar. Back together, first thing I'm going to do is put the link pin in with the nut just loose. I'm going to get this, I'm going to pull down on it, go under try and get the lever under the second bit. The further down you get the lever, the easier it is. So hold that up, lever down into it. Make sure you put the same nuts back in the same place. And this will spin if you just try and do it up. If it spins, nothing happens. Get down on the next one and push it down real hard. You'll be able to do it up, no problem at all. Right, and so that the hole is in the right spot for the split pin. Poke the split pin to the top of the strut up. Pin back up with the ratchet spanner and the Allen keys in. tight. Sensor back in, and those 10s and 12 mils. I'll tie it in last because this makes it a bit easier to get things in while you can still turn that. Because once you put the tie rod end on, you're now turning the whole rack. Put that on and tighten it down. And you've got to line a hole up so that you can put the split pin in as well. Put a split pin in, you just line the hole up, poke it through. Get some side cutters, lift one over, and just tap it down over the other side. Tap that one down a bit, and snip that one off. That's this side of the vehicle, completely back together. We can bolt. So that's how to change front struts in a Toyota Hilux. I hope you enjoyed the video, hope you learned something. If there's any questions on how to do anything or anything that I've shown in this video, just put in the comments and I'll try and answer everything that I can. Thanks for watching, hit the like button, subscribe, and check out the rest of my videos on Foord Offroad.